Hello and welcome to Easy Exam Review. Today we learn about the three different ideologies and how they affected the change in power over time. We will break it down into three major time periods: the French Revolution, the Industrial Revolution, and present day, and examine them further with the three isms present: nationalism, industrialism, and capitalism. Over time, it has become more obvious that power fundamentally lies in the people and less within the governments that attempt to control them. At the end of this podcast, you should have a clear understanding of how these three movements have affected control and power, shaping the world we live in today.
We will be saying the word power a lot today, so it's important that we're all on the same page definition-wise. Today we will use the word power to mean having a substantial influence over the daily lives of common people and the general public. To begin, let's go all the way back to the French Revolution. At the time, power was divinely given to those born into the correct families. Power passed generation to generation through a similar bloodline. The current king of France at the time was Louis XVI. Throughout his reign, people were not happy with the current situation in France.
The French Revolution was formed from a pit of anger of the common person. With a combination of taxation, elitism, and food shortages, the people were fed up and no longer cared and respected their ruler. All efforts were to better the state and help the common person.
This belief was created due to the vast divide between the top and bottom estate. It was such a great difference that it created problems. Having the highest estate, the clergy, and then the second highest estate, the nobility, with tax exemptions, given a plethora of privileges, the third estate grew resentful. Working the hardest and not gaining anything in return aggravated the lower class, especially considering that they made up the majority of the population and had the smallest portion of wealth between them.
With no privileges and multiple different taxes, these people were sick and tired of being used by their government. Along with these problems, during the time, there were massive droughts which added to the working estate's current struggle. The droughts caused food shortages, driving the prices of all necessities way up. Simple things like bread, which had made up the majority of a common person's diet, were so expensive, people were unable to feed themselves, let alone their families. To add on to that, at the time, King Louis was rubbing his wealth in the faces of others with the Palace of Versailles. A castle so large and luxurious, it cost in today's money the equivalent to over $2 billion to build. So, as the nobility and the king basked in their wealth, the poor starved, and the intellectuals questioned the validity of the divinely appointed.
As the problems grew, France's Third Estate took charge, driven by their nationalistic views. This ideology grew due to the lack of protection of the lower classes were receiving from their government. People felt betrayed and looked to a new constitution as the answer. On July 9, 1789, the Third Estate were sick and tired of being overlooked and created National Assembly, a form of government that correctly represented the population and strived for a French constitution, wanting to abolish uneven taxation, privileges for nobles, and other unfair elements in the name of writing a new constitution. And on August 26, they created the Declaration of Rights of Man and Citizens to give the rights to everyone, but more specifically limiting the power of the king.
Although it didn't last, it showed the power of the people and changed France forever. People no longer wanted to support a single ruler, instead pledged their allegiance to their country. These events in France during the French Revolution demonstrated how nationalism gave power to the revolutionaries and rights to the citizens. This idea grew as time went on, and during the Industrial Revolution, even more people were able to have influence over others.
Between 1750 and 1850, the Industrial Revolution, fueled by industrialism, was alive and well. Industrialism, a socio-economic system built on the development of new industries, focused on technological advances in the fields of agriculture, manufacturing, mining, and transportation. These technological advances promised a better life, causing hundreds and thousands of rural farmers and their families to move to more urban areas to work. Because these families had uprooted their lives, they became dependent on factory jobs, despite the horrible working conditions. These dismal working conditions and the fact that everyone put up with them shows that the people who had the most influence over the common people were in fact the factory owners.
Factory owners and managers dictated almost every aspect in the average person's life. When they woke up, when they ate meals, how much money they made, whether or not they were physically abused. This power was given to factory owners as a direct result of industrialism and the push for people into urban areas. Industrialism made it easier for people to have power when compared to the French Revolution, because while nationalism gave power to the revolutionaries, industrialism gave power to the businessmen. This fact made it much easier for a large group of people to gain influence. Factory owners came from all walks of life. For example, Richard Arkwright, who was credited with inventing the modern factory system, could not even afford to go to school as a child. This showed that anyone with entrepreneurial and inventing skills to make it had the potential to become very influential.
While during the Industrial Revolution, the number of people who could potentially hold power consisted of an innovative and attentive men, this pool widened dramatically in the modern era. Thanks to capitalism, influential members of society range from entrepreneurs, authors, actors, celebrities, athletes, business moguls, social activists, and much more. The capitalist system is defined as an economic and political system in which private owners control a country's trade and industry for a profit. This essentially means that money equals power. So capitalism has made it that only prerequisite for gaining influence is to have money.
Similarly to the Industrial Revolution, capitalism and its focus on business as a way to succeed promoted entrepreneurialism and innovation. However, an example of how relatively easy it is to gain power in the modern era is clearly shown in celebrities like Justin Bieber. Bieber came from a low-income, lone-parent family, but reached money and fame through a YouTube video seen by a music producer. Now Bieber holds direct influence over 64 million people that read his Twitter page daily. In Western society's current state, people who have money influence everyday civilians through subtle ways.
Business moguls and marketers dictate what you eat, wear, drive, and experience in daily life. Authors and their respective publishers influence what people read and thus what they think. And celebrities in general influence what people believe to be popular, cool, and expected in life. This widening pool of influential people and the aspects of daily life they influence is growing by the day now. And all that is due to capitalism and its focus on business as power.
In conclusion, we can see how the three isms, present within the three different time periods, have helped progress people from a controlling, unjust monarchy to the multi-diverse influencers we see nowadays. As time has advanced, the people have gained their own independence, stemming from the French Revolution. Although it didn't fully achieve all they had hoped, the French Revolution was still critical for the people's movement for freedom and power. From there, time has only pushed forward, allowing the Industrial Revolution to boom. Times were not easy for the working class here.
Factory owners and men in position of power were focused on the new idea of quick industrialism. They gained power by controlling the workers' life from the hours they worked to the times they ate. Lastly, bringing us all the way to the present day, capitalism has now shaped our lives, giving the power to the influencers. How we act, what we wear, even who we speak like, is all shaped and molded by those who are seen as celebrities nowadays. This shift in power over the years is paramount and can only be attributed to the isms pushing society.
Thank you for listening to our podcast, and we hope this helped you study for your exam. Good luck in your exam, and have a great summer.